Hey guys, it's Christy and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be ranking all of the foundations that I tried in 2022. So before we get into it, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's get into it. I have full review and wear test videos up of every single one of these foundations except for one, which is newer, but it's also ranking pretty high. So I will link my playlist down below with all of these videos, but let's just hop right into it. Okay, so coming at number 13 is the Patrick Ta Cream Foundation and Finishing Powder Duo. This one, I want to say this one broke my heart because it kind of did. So this one comes with a cream foundation and a finishing powder. I love Patrick Ta, so I was expecting amazing things from this foundation. And this whole duo situation is so on brand for Patrick Ta as well. I was very, very excited. And to see this cream foundation, I thought it would be great. So the foundation itself isn't the worst. It's okay. It can feel heavy. It's okay if you apply it in a sheer layer, just as something to just kind of even out skin tone. I do think that is fine. Once you start trying to build it up though to get more coverage, it's too much, it's very heavy. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is this powder. This powder is awful on my skin tone. Keep in mind I have dry skin. This powder sunk directly into every single pore. It was just an awful, awful experience. I did not enjoy this powder. The powder made everything so much worse. And then throughout the day, I would notice it was wearing off in weird spots on my face, like especially around my nose, my mouth, my chin. That's fine, but I noticed it was just patching off in weird areas. Overall, this was just a terrible, terrible foundation to wear. I should have returned this, but I didn't because I was honestly just trying to make it work. I could not understand how this wasn't working, so I tried it so many times together. I tried splitting it up, using the foundation separate from the powder, using different powders that I know I love and trust, and I could not make this work. So that's why this one is number 13, is the absolute worst I tried this year. Coming in at number 12, and also one I really didn't like, is from OneSize. This is the Turn Up the Base BBB Cream Beauty Blur Balm. So this is another one. I expected great things. I absolutely love the OneSize Turn Up the Base Butter Silk Concealer. That's been such a favorite of mine. So I was really expecting great things from this one, and if you have dry skin, I do not think you'll like this. This is such a dry foundation. This is how it describes itself. Be the ultimate blur boss with buttery, bouncy, smooth skin, texture be gone. So this is supposed to be hydrating and blurring. I don't think it's at all hydrating. It's incredibly, incredibly dry. This is another one that sank directly into my pores, just really enhanced any texture I have, and it just looked terrible on my skin, and it felt uncomfortable, to be honest, because it was just that dry. So it looked nice initially. That's one thing I found, is that it did kind of look nice initially. I liked the coverage that I was getting because I wasn't expecting to get such great coverage. After a little bit, it was just a big no for me. So this one did not work out either. Coming in at number 11 is another one that I really, really expected to love. And this is the Dior Forever Skin Glow Foundation. So this and the matte version were reformulated at the very end of last year. So I tried this one out the very beginning of the year. I had the shade 1N, and I can't make this work for me. To save my life, I cannot make this work. It just really doesn't look nice on my skin. I don't know exactly how to describe it. I just can't get a nice even coverage with it. I'm not expecting a full coverage. I was expecting, a nice medium coverage, but it just looks very strange on my skin. And I didn't find it very long lasting, nothing like that. I found it was breaking up really easily, so this one just wasn't it for me. Now we're into the top 10, and there are no foundations in the top 10 that I did not like. There are some that are ranking lower for one reason or another, but I do not hate any of these foundations. So coming in number 10 is the Goss Luxury Cream Foundation. I was really excited to try this one out because I really wanted to try out something from Goss's line. I really love him as a creator, as a makeup artist, so I was really excited to try this. And he's also completely self-funded, so his shade range is definitely more limited. This one, I have shade 11 and it's far too light, so that's on me. I should have grabbed shade 9 or 10. So that is part of why this is ranking lower, just because the shade really doesn't work for me. But also I did find that although it's very comfortable, it's very lightweight, very pigmented, you get great coverage, it would also cling to some of my dry patches. So if my skin is in the middle of the summer and just super hydrated and my dry patches just really aren't prominent, I think this would be great when it's the colder months and my dry patches are there and this is going to cling to them. So that is why this one ranked a little bit lower. Coming in at number 9 is from Rare Beauty, and this is the Positive Light Tinted Moisturizer. So this one is ranking lower just because I do prefer something with a little more coverage, but this is really, really good. So it just comes in a little squeeze bottle like so. I really like the bottle. I think it's very cute. The coverage was good. It was definitely a sheer light coverage, which I didn't mind. I think it's great for the summer. I really like how it evened out my skin. It wore really well. It didn't cling to dry patches. This is a really, really nice one. It just, unfortunately, it falls behind some of the others that give me more coverage, but this is still a really nice tinted moisturizer. I don't tend to love tinted moisturizers as much, but this one is definitely worth it. Okay, coming in at number 8 is one that was very, very hyped. This one came out at the beginning of the year and had a lot of attention. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation, and this is a good one. This is nice. I have the shade 2 Neutral. I honestly probably could have gone with the lightest shade. I love the package of this. I do love the squeeze tube packaging. It comes in a pump. Love it. And compared to Charlotte Tilbury's other foundation that I've tried, the Airbrush Flawless Foundation, I don't like that one at all. It's way too heavy on my skin. This is pretty good though. My only gripe with this one is if you use a little bit too much, it will feel heavy, and I don't like that. I don't like when makeup feels heavy on my skin, so that's the only reason this one is ranking a little bit lower, because I don't like that heavy feeling. Obviously, if you're mindful and you just go in with a light layer, then this is going to be just fine. I do wish I'd picked up a better shade, but if you go in with a really light layer, this is going to feel great. It's going to look great. It's just if you accidentally use too much or you go in on some extra spots just to build up coverage where you need it a little bit more, you will feel this. So you do have to be mindful of that. Otherwise, I think this is a pretty good foundation. Coming at number 7 is a drugstore foundation that I fell in love with this year. This is the L'Oreal Age Perfect 4-in-1 Tinted Balm, and this is really good. So I have the shade 10 Fair. So this is what this one looks like. It looks very peachy, but it's not quite as peachy when you're blending it onto the skin. And I will say the shades are flexible, so it will kind of sink in and work with your actual skin. I like the convenience of having a potted foundation, much like the Wayne Goss. I like being able to just take it on my sponge and go all over the face. I find this has a good wear time. I can get a solid medium coverage with it. It looks really nice on the skin all day long. I really enjoyed this one. I really, really do. The price point is good. I do think the shade range could be better, despite it being flexible shades. I do think it could be better, but I did really, really enjoy this one. I think it's great. I think this is another one that if you accidentally use too much, it can feel a little bit heavy, which is just something I don't love. But again, if you just go in and work in thin layers, I think you'd really, really enjoy this. Coming in at number 6 is quite honestly a foundation I did not expect to love. So this one was a reformulation of a foundation that I had previously absolutely loved. So this is the Makeup Forever HD Skin Foundation. So this replaced the Ultra HD foundation, which had long been a favorite of mine. It used to be my go-to foundation. I went through bottles and bottles of that foundation. And so when they reformulated it, I was so worried. And then I tried this. So this is a bit different. It does have more coverage than the old formulation. They've also changed the way they name their shades, which I find a little confusing, but this is so good. It's definitely a little bit more on the matte side than the original, and again, it does have a lot more coverage. I do prefer a little more coverage than I used to, so I do like this more. And while this is matte, I don't find that it's hard to blend. It doesn't cling to my dry patches. It's not too dry on my dry skin. I love this one. I Absolutely, absolutely love this reformulation. I think they did such a good job. I'm so glad I picked this up. And this is definitely better than the original in my opinion. Okay, coming at number 5 is a foundation I tried very recently, but I've tried it a few times now, so I do have my thoughts together. And this is the McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. So this is the only one that I do not have a review up here on my channel because this is one that I know has been out for a really long time. So I did not think anybody would want to see a full review and wear test. I've heard such good things about this, and then right before, I think maybe a week before Black Friday, this was on sale for $37 Canadian. It regularly retails for $92. So of course I picked this up. And I've heard people talk about it for years, how good it is. So I had to try it for myself. So this is the one I'm wearing today, and I do really like it. I do think it's very, very nice. It's definitely a more light to medium coverage. It's definitely buildable, but it's definitely more on the sheer side. It's a very, very liquidy formula, but it is a really good, comfortable formula. I do really like this. I think this is great. I do wish it had a little bit more coverage. I would love to see Pat McGrath come out with a more full coverage option, but before that she needs to come out with bronzer. However, I think this foundation is great. I do think it's really great. I do not think I would have been happy to pay the $92 for it. I'll be honest, $37, yes, worth it. 1000% worth that. And I do think it's a good foundation. So this one definitely did impress me. I really do like it. Coming in at number 4 is probably the most affordable foundation in this ranking, but this is a really, really good one. So this is from SheGlam, and this is their Skinfluencer Full Coverage Foundation Balm in the shade Fair. I did try this foundation at the beginning of the year, and I absolutely fell in love with it. So I love the convenience of a potted foundation, as I mentioned, but the coverage of this is incredible. I love how this looks on the skin. I love how this just perfects everything. It gives such great coverage. It plays so well with all my other products. It never feels too heavy or cakey. It doesn't break up in weird spots. This is a really, really, really good foundation. I love this one. I think it's a very high quality foundation, and it's only $8. So this is one I'm absolutely going to continue to love because it is a really, really great product. I fell really hard for this foundation. Okay, coming at number 3 is from Hourglass, and this is the Ambient Soft Glow Foundation. This is such a beautiful, beautiful foundation. So obviously it's from Hourglass. It's definitely more pricey, but this is such a beautiful foundation. I have the shade 1.5, and this gave the most beautiful medium coverage, looked so healthy on my skin, didn't cling to dry spots, and the thing that happened during my wear test. So this looks so, so, so beautiful for the first 6 hours that I wore it, and I put it through its paces. I was doing so, so much. And toward the end of the day, I started doing even more, and then it started to break up. Really crazy. So my only thing with this is I don't think it's the most long wearing. I think if you're not doing much and you're wearing it, I think you will get a good wear time, but I think if you're doing a lot, like this is not one that's going to look great through a workout. Not that you should wear it through a workout, but if you did, this probably isn't going to last the longest. I think this will give you a solid 8 to 9 hour day. I think anything beyond that and it's going to start to break down a little bit. But those 8 to 9 hours, your skin is going to look so good, so healthy, completely flawless, blurred, everything. This is so beautiful. Well, my only gripe is that this is not the most longest lasting. It wears so beautifully for the time that you have it, and you do get a fair wear time. So I do love this one. I do. Okay, coming at number 2 is a foundation that was very hyped up this year, and this is the Haus Labs TriClone Skin Tech Foundation. This one wowed me. I love this one. The only thing I don't like is their shade range. They do it opposite from most brands. They do it much more like MAC. So if you have a cooler undertone, you're going to buy a warm tone foundation. You're going to buy the W's. So, which is just a little confusing just because it kind of goes against the grain. But this foundation, definitely medium to full coverage. It's definitely a little bit more on the matte side, but it looks so good on the skin. It makes the skin look so perfected. It lasts all day long. It doesn't break up. It doesn't cling to dry patches. It doesn't do anything I don't want it to do. It just looks so good on the skin. I love this foundation so much. I love the bottle. It's just this heavy frosted glass bottle. It looks very, very luxe, but it's just such a high quality foundation. I love this one. So that's why this one is ranking so high at number 2. I had the shade Fair Cool because I bought it before I knew about their whole opposite shade range situation. So while this is not the most perfect shade, it actually does end up working for me pretty well. So I do recommend this so much. My only recommendation would be to maybe get shade matched in store. That would be the only thing. But otherwise, this is gorgeous. Coming at number 1. If you have followed my channel this year, you know exactly what foundation is coming at number 1. This is the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation. This is the foundation to end all foundations. If I had to get rid of every single foundation in my collection and start over, this is the one that I would purchase first. I love this foundation. This is definitely a more medium coverage. It's not going to give you that super full coverage look, but this is a beautiful medium coverage foundation. It looks so beautiful on the skin. This looks so natural that I was getting my hair done one day and they asked me if I was wearing a foundation and they were surprised because this looked like skin. That has never happened to me before. This does look so skin-like and so natural, but it really perfects the skin while also giving the skin a really beautiful luminosity to it. It just makes the skin look so beautiful and healthy. It's unbelievable how good this looks on the skin. Anytime I wear this, I love my makeup. Always. If I have tried out a few bad foundations and I am just fed up, this is what I reach for. This is the one. This is the best foundation of all time, in my opinion, especially of the year. And that is it. Those are the 13 foundations I tried in 2022. We had some really bad experiences, but we had some really, really good ones. So that is it for me today. Thank you so very much for watching. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload at least 3 new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!